What's poppin', everybody? Hello and welcome to Popcorn Culture. My name is Ben Carlin and I am your host. Here with me today is my brother Jay, who will be in every episode.
Yes. How are you doing today, Ben?
Thank you so much for asking.
Well, you're so welcome.
How are you when you're out in public about like asking people how they're doing and stuff? Like, is it something you do?
I mean, like with strangers?
Yeah, like it's like, let's say you're out, like, in your front yard, and then like somebody like walks by the house, or you're like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah. How are you now?
How are you now?
How are you now? Yeah.
Yeah.
Not so bad. And you?
Do you ask the question?
No. I mean, if my neighbors are out sitting on their back porch and I'm out there, I'll say hey or whatever.
Okay.
If I know the person walking by my house, I'll probably say, hey, what's up? How are you doing? Or whatever. If I obviously anyone walking in my neighborhood is a neighbor of some kind. So if they walk past my house while I'm outside, I'll usually like throw them a wave or something. But it's not like
toss them a little,
maybe I say, how are you doing? But there's nothing, it doesn't go beyond just a, how are you? Good. How are you? Good morning. Whatever, Okay,
I mean, that's all I'm looking for. Yeah.
Love your dog.
Right. Oh, right. Yeah. I mean, you're not about to like engage in full blown discussion. Man, I don't know if like longtime pop listeners would remember this or not, but there was a lady once upon a time who scolded me because I was taking my dog for a walk, and like one of the dogs like urinated as they do on walks.
Yeah.
And she gave me like a whole thing. And then like I actually confronted her like a couple days later when she happened to be walking by my house again. I was like, hey, like what do you expect me to do? Like what was the right thing to do? Like how do I make it so that like you're not upset with me in the future? It wasn't even your house. But now we have a new lady who has been walking by our house. I say new as if she hasn't been like walking by my house ever since I lived there. But I have the fenced in yard now, which means that if the dogs are outside, there is the outside chance that they're going to bark at my, the passerbys of my house as they happen to walk by. And it's one of those like terrible situations because the dogs think they're scaring people away, and without fail, every single time the people keep walking away.
Pavlovian, response, like feedback loop there.
Yes.
Like we are doing a good job. Yay, us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. There's even the off chance that they're not wrong. That like if it's like if sometimes if a big enough dog is barking at me as I walk past someone's house, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get it further away from the fence because I don't know the parameters of this dog's security.
Wait, so walk me through what you mean. Like they're not barking for no reason?
No, like they're barking to scare you off. And like whether or not they're being scary or not, they think they were because you walk away. But like sometimes to me, like, no, I'm scared. Like you're correct. You're doing a good job.
Oh, I see. Yeah. I see. Yeah.
Like they might actually have accomplished their goal.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. Like a lot of people walk by and I'm like, if I'm outside, I'm always like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry about the dogs. Like we're doing our best. We try to do like everything that we can, like all these like different training techniques and stuff to get them to not bark at everybody. But the unfortunate reality is that there's just a lot of traffic and there is no backyard. So there's no situation where the dogs aren't exposed to the passerbys. And most people are like, they're just doing what they're supposed to do. Dogs will be dogs, and I would say most people are kind of like, no big deal, like, whatever. A small handful of people we have come to notice, like, will literally just like, they'll come up on my house and just like cross across the street and walk on the other side of the street until they get past, and then they will literally like come back after they've passed my house. And so that's just, I'm kind of like, well, if you're walking the same walk every morning and that you're going to run into my dogs every morning, then I guess that kind of makes sense. We have this one lady though who refuses to do that, and she has taken to, because she has her own dogs, her own little dogs, and they bark at my dogs, my dogs bark back. And then she has added a little extra flavor, and now she has started barking at my dogs too.
She barks
at my dogs, the whole way by.
That can't be effective.
Oh no, yeah, I don't think it's gonna solve any problems.
Is she trying to scare them away?
I don't know what she's trying to do.
Okay. But you're just inside drinking your coffee, watching this lady walk past and bark at your dogs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, and we have like our screened-in porch that, like, through the summer months, Alice and I are on as much as humanly possible. So most of the time we have like non-impeded access view to what's going on. And, we will like typically try to holler at the dogs or get them to like not do it. But, still. And it really grinds Alice's gears. So the other day we were out like next to our garden, which is similarly right next to the sidewalk. And the lady walked by and Alice was like, should I go bark at her? I was like, we should probably not bark at her. But
I feel like if you went up and were like, "Are you barking at my dog?" I feel like that would probably stop it forever.
No, that would almost certainly stop it forever. Yeah, and I've run into her at like my local co-op before, like while I'm like grocery shopping.
And you're like,
what was that? What was that? And I always try to be like extra nice to her. I'm always just sort of like, hey, how are you today? It's good to see you. You know, like I try to like make it a point so that then, like maybe
does she know where you live?
She must. I mean, I recognize her clear as day, so she must recognize me.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's a daily thing.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, this happens every day.
Every single day.
Yeah.
And she barks back every day.
She does. And, you know, here, I've thought about this a lot too, because like, you know, certainly like, you know, we walk our dogs as well, but like, you know, for the quick little like in and outs, you know, like go use my yard to use the restroom as the lady from years past advised me to have them do. You know, which is not the reason. I just would obviously always let them go to the bathroom in my yard because that's where the dogs usually go to the bathroom.
Right.
But it does blow my mind because like I try to calculate in my head like this is a thing about living where I live. It's like a thing I have to like be adjusted to, be accustomed to as like a regular problem.
Yeah.
You know, is that the dogs are going to bark at everybody and I just live in a highly trafficked corner and there's nothing we can do about it. So like in my head, I try to like mentally calculate like how long the dogs are outside each day. Because the other thing is that like we both leave for work and the dogs are inside for the whole day. And like, you know, if we're on the couch and obviously they're just like hanging out on the couch with us and stuff. And so I'm like, they're probably only out there for, you know, maybe 30 to 45 minutes a day. Like, you know, you open the door in the morning, you let them out, you get home from work, you let them out, like,
right.
You know, and then periodic little like ins and outs, like after dinner or whatever. And it's funny to me because I'm like, why is it such a thing? Like, why is there so much like crossing traffic? But I think it's because we're all like, everybody does the same things at the same times.
Yeah.
There's choreography to the way the average person's life goes, which is, you know, you might be out for your morning walk or walking your dogs at the same time at 7-ish in the morning when I open my front door to let them go into my yard.
Yeah.
You know, so the problem is that like it's like I am letting them out at the same time as all the other high traffic situations are also happening.
Right.
So I'd probably be better off like just 2 hours later. But then you start to run into mailman issues, and like then that's a whole problem.
Whole different problem.
Because they have to enter my property, and they don't want to get like, you know, locked in the Thunderdome.
In the Thunderdome.
You know,
like, oh no,
the gate shuts behind them, and then they're just in, you know,
Man.
for 3 minutes.
Oh
Yeah.
Bonesaw does.
No, it's never like that. I am very cautious about that because I never want the mail carriers to be, you know, in any way
And start
impacted.
pitching your packages off the street.
Yeah. I mean, there have been a couple of times where a couple of my packages have just been like haphazardly like lobbed over the fence, and they're just like sort of on my sidewalk, like midway, and I'm like, I think I know what happened.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem violent. It just seems like
that's
they're
good.
kind of like, well, you know, I don't want to
They're
go right next to the
leery, yeah.
fence, and you know,
Had some bad experiences.
that's right. That's right. So, anyway, that's all I'm doing to answer your question.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
just dealing with regular dogs bark at people problems.
Yeah. It's like it's an ongoing thing that I still don't know how to solve, but you know, I'm doing my best.
Yeah. Well, they bark even if they're inside. They bark.
They will.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, you know, if we have like a delivery.
So is
show
it just constant barking at your house then? Because like people must be always walking past your house.
There's a lot of people walking past the house. It's not constant. Like I think that they like acclimate once they're inside to like certain things. It's really only if people like open the gates. The gates have like a very obvious sound.
Yeah.
So like even if it's like a weekend and I'm like just running in and out and like I like let the gate like slam shut or whatever because I'm like, you know, have my hands full with like boat toys or whatever. Sometimes the dogs will bark when they hear it because they think it's the sound of somebody like arriving.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a thing. That's a thing too. But it's not constant. Although I will tell you that like when Addison was like 3 months old, I would have told you it was constant because they would bark the second she fell asleep every time. And I would be like, guys,
Stop it.
Like me and Alice had to have a whole conversation. And like, I would say this, like new parents, it's like, you might go through a phase where you stop liking your pets because of this exact thing. And like I remember being like, maybe like 8 months in or maybe close to like Addison's first birthday. And I was like, Allie, I'm not sure if I like the dogs anymore. Like, you know, like
this ain't worth it.
I mean, like, it's just like, I'm like, so often they are setting back something I worked really hard to accomplish, which is getting Addison, you know, to sleep.
Yeah.
And then attempting to use the available free time to be productive. And it's like, if all that gets chewed up, it's like then I lost my window and the whole thing becomes a thing. But now I'm I've gotten through the woods on that front, and
that's
now
good.
so now we're good pals again.
That's cool. I mean, honestly, I bet she's just like good at sleeping through the barking now. Probably.
I think you're absolutely right. Like, I think that's like one of those things where I'm probably sometimes too sensitive because I'm like I so badly need her downtime to get stuff done.
Yeah.
That like it's kind of like, guys, you barking right now could be impeding on my ability to get something. Like, if I don't use this hour now, I won't have this hour again until next Saturday.
Right.
So it's like I need this hour.
Must do
Please
task
don't bark.
now.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Well, like Nick and Nate, when they're asleep, like I think they are specifically attuned like to each other's sounds and voices and stuff, because the other person could be like up in the middle of the night crying, screaming, complaining, whatever the problem is.
Right.
And like they will not get up. Like they will not. It's like they just phase it out. They're too used to each other.
Okay, but then do they happen to know like the various like door creaks or like floor squeaks or anything? Like, is there something that will wake them up that's like quieter by comparison?
It's hard to know. It's hard to know because sometimes I suspect that they are laying in their bed and just haven't gotten up yet because they're like waiting for someone to get up, and then like you go down the stairs and they're like, "Oh, I heard you going down the stairs," and then they just come running and you're like, "Oh man, I thought I had 30 minutes here." That was a ridiculous thought of mine at 5:30 in the morning, but whatever.
Right.
Suddenly it's 5:45 and all three of them are up and you're like, what has my life become?
Yes. Oh man, it's okay. It's okay. I feel like it's only like a short stint though until they have like other stuff that they want to do. Like, I feel like you're probably still like a primary source of entertainment now, but at some point in time, like they'll move on.
I know. And then I'll miss it. I'll be like, guys,
I want to play too.
I want to play.
Put your Game Boys down.
Yeah. Oh man, Nick and Nate have been playing Super Smash Brothers together lately.
Okay,
which
yes.
is really like they're only allowed to play on the weekends, but they were playing it a bunch last night, and it's like they're not super great as you might expect.
Sure, I mean there's a degree of coordination involved.
There is, but it has been interesting to watch them like slowly get better. Because at first they turn it on, they get knocked off the edge, that's it. There's no recovery at all.
Okay,
but like yesterday, I'm like watching and like Nate successfully like boings himself back on the stage with Sonic, and I was like, hey, look at that. That was like an honest reaction recovery move, Yeah. It wasn't just like random button mashing.
Right.
Good for you.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, I mean, this is going to be like so like the Stardom Young situation in your family, I feel like.
Because could be.
Because you're already such a good gamer, and they seem like they've inherited like the natural like affinity or interest for the arena, so to speak,
perhaps.
So I even feel like with their Beyblading and like watching you like Pokemon cards, like all the strategic.
We missed out on the latest Beyblade tournament, which was this past weekend. But we had some friends' birthday parties we had to go to, so we missed out. But next time we'll get them.
That's right. We're gonna go shatter some more blades.
Oh my gosh, I know. I was serious. I was like, man. Oh, this part, like, how late can we get to this party? Can we? I don't think we can make it. Yeah, but
dang.
Oh well, too bad. I wanted to bring them, wanted to get them in there, but oh well, didn't work out.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, well, let's see here, Jay. So you've wrote a little note into the show notes that says that you did back squat again for the first time in a while.
It has been, yes. So I haven't been doing like heavy like power lifts or anything for quite some time here, because I was doing like the triathlon training. It was really just a lot of swimming, and then post that I kind of get back to like lifting weights, but I've just sort of been like now I'm at the YMCA, so I've just been doing like the machine circuit, as it were, because I was kind of like it always felt like if you were going to be doing like deadlift or squat or something like that, or like bench, like you needed a spotter in the gym with you, or something.
Yep.
But a lot of the machines at the, like if you're at a gym, have like a built-in like safety bar or something. So it's like, if you got to bail, you can just like duck out.
So you're not gonna get squeezed.
You're not gonna get squeezed by the bar. Like that won't happen. So that's good. So today, but then I've also sort of been waiting for the right moment to go back. I've been like, I kind of want to try and do squats again. Because even when I was still lifting weights, like the back squat had just evaporated from it. It was all front squat all the time, and I hate front squat.
Front squat is literally the worst.
It is such a
it's the parallel parking of the powerlifting.
Yeah,
world.
you feel like you're like using the little T-Rex arms to hold the bar in front of you, and it's just I didn't like it. But I always liked back squat. So today, but I always know that if and when I went back, I would really need to choose my moment, because it could not be like right before we went on some like travel vacation.
Oh my gosh.
Or something.
Yes.
Because let me tell you something. If you've never done back squat before and you just suddenly start doing it, you are going to be in pain the next day.
If you even just want like a basic little challenge just for funsies, like if you're sitting there at home and you're kind of like, well, what is he dealing with? Just do, and if you haven't squatted, just do 30 air squats. You can do 3 sets of 10 if you want to.
Yeah.
And I would be willing to bet that you'll wake up tomorrow morning and be like, oh,
yeah, that hurts a little. A little. So I was looking at my old notebooks or whatever, trying to see like what I used to do, what I used to throw back.
Look at you go with your old notebooks.
I know. And I was like, where should I start? And I was initially going to start around like the 135, which are just like 245 plates. I was like, that seems right. But I decided, I was like, there's no pressure. You're not training for anything. Don't hurt yourself.
Yeah.
Scale it back. I went to like 105 instead. I was like, I'm going to do the old 5x10 workout.
Yep,
which is 5 sets of 10.
Right.
Yeah. And we did that forever. And I mean, they hurt.
They do. I mean, it was. I'm certain that we've talked about it, but yeah, the 5x10 was basically the regime that we were doing is so easy to explain. You basically started with 65 pounds on your back, and then you did 5x10, and then the next week you did 70, and then 75, and then 80, and then you just kept going until you couldn't do it.
Yeah. And then you reset to 75% of the weight you failed at, and usually by the time you got back to the weight you failed at, you'd have blasted past it.
Right.
And then you would eventually hit another break point, and from there you would try and do a like 1 rep max and see how high you could go.
Yes.
And then you would sort of start over.
Yep.
Yeah. And that was sort of the regime, as it were.
Get strong.
For a very long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I haven't done that in a long time. And I was like leaving the gym, and I was just walking down like the 5 steps out of the gym, and like I almost fell, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a problem. It's like, there's been several times today when I've gone to stand up, and it's just like my legs are like, oh, are you sure about that?
Yeah, you got up out of the like a stool at lunch today, and you like almost fell over, and it was like, oh boy.
I know.
Were you just being silly, or like
tomorrow is just going to hurt so bad? I can already tell. And the thing is, it's not just tomorrow,
Yeah.
Like in my experience, like it's gonna be like 2 or 3 days of this, and then you get to next week and you just do it again, and it's like that for like a month, and then eventually it doesn't hurt anymore unless you skip, and then it hurts again.
Yeah, unless you go on vacation, in which case just like, well, you may as well be back to zero. What were you thinking?
It won't hurt as bad, but it just like the soreness. And I know some people are gonna be listening and they're like, that why would you even do that? This is why I don't work out. And it's just like, no, it's a good soreness. I enjoy it, but it does. Like, it's like, I know it's coming.
Are you trying to convince them or yourself?
No, both, indeed. Yeah. So that's what I'm going to be dealing with for the next couple of days here. I'm positive.
You're positive. Okay.
Yeah.
So are you like, do you have like a new goal in mind, or are you just sort of like, you know what? I liked when I was weightlifting. I just want to be weightlifting.
I think, that mostly just sort of like, I think, like, so often you might try like this little routine or this little routine, but it's like when it comes down to it, like lifting heavy weights is just like extremely good for you.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that's just it. Just like, it's good for you. You're going to be burning lots of calories and getting stronger, and like more like doing hot, like heavy stuff versus like lots of lower stuff is different. And the big heavy stuff is just better for you. So it's like, as long as you're not like hurting yourself, then it's just like, seems good.
Just seems good.
I'm going to try and we'll see where we get to. So,
okay.
And you know what? I have years of notebooks to just look back on and see like, what should I do with what are the additional add-on workouts I should do? So, we're good to go.
I love that you've kept the notebooks. I couldn't tell you where a single one of my workout notebooks
really
are. Not one.
Oh man.
No, I'm terrible at keeping track of stuff like that. Like I even like journaling is again, another thing I know we've talked about like a million times, because it's like it's funny because it's an aspiration in me that never goes away. Like I've ever since we've been recording the pop, I guarantee we've talked about journaling or diaries or logging information about yourself in some capacity or another. And my main thing is like intermittent journaling. So like, once every 6 months, I'll like write something down, and it's sort of like, hey, this is kind of handy because I'm getting like a little a little temperature check, a little vibe check on like, what's on your mind now? What was on your mind like 6 months ago?
Yeah. And is it like, then you can look back and be like, oh, I've been mad about this for 6 months.
Yes. And I think sometimes like that's like the big thing where it's like, okay, this has been bothering you for so long. It's like you need to take action.
Right. Yeah. It's not like something that's in the back of your mind. It's not like going away. It's not like a passing thing.
Right.
Yeah. You gotta act. And that is helpful.
It is.
For sure.
It's very helpful. Actually, that's a great opportunity to transition into what I think could cause an argument.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, actually, I have no idea if it will or not, but it's a great setup as well. Okay, so I remember back when I was in college, and I think Twitch streaming was already a thing in the year 2011, 2012.
Yeah.
But like I remember my roommate, our good friend Big Steve.
Yes.
Would all the time be like, there needs to be a TV channel, because like cable TV back then was still a fairly prominent thing. Like Netflix even was still primarily
like DVDs and stuff.
Like mail order DVDs, the like Redbox movie rentals outside of like convenience stores or pharmacies.
It was a big transition period.
Yeah, we didn't quite have like blockbusters anymore, but we weren't to the point where like you could basically watch unlimited stuff on streaming.
Yeah, this is a pre-Disney Plus world.
Exactly. Although, to be fair, at this point in time, I had already watched all of the show Lost for free on Hulu.
Dude, this was in Hulu heyday when Hulu was great.
When Hulu was just like, hey, do you want to watch TV at your leisure? Okay.
Great. It's 8 days late. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. So if you wanted anything with a big back catalog, which Lost had, you could watch it. And I did. But I remember the thing that Big Steve would constantly talk about was he just wanted there to be a TV channel to watch people play video games.
Oh.
And
well, there's that.
Yes. And it's like, it's one of those things where me and him talk about it. And it's like, we both remember him having these discussions and stuff. And it's like, dude, how right you were.
Right.
That like, this was something that people desperately wanted. Like it was so much more like it's like when you read a meme where somebody like explains a very like obscure situation and you're like, oh my God, I felt that before. And you're like, I didn't know like somebody articulated it. Like I didn't know this was a shared thing.
Yeah.
You know? But sometimes it is. And with watching people play games, it's a massive, massive thing. There must be something very settling or calming or interactive, but like also not like super mentally taxing about watching.
I imagine it's also just like it's very relatable sometimes just to like see them play a game you've already played.
Oh, sure.
Or the people are just very entertained. Often it feels like with streaming, you either have to be extremely good at the game or extremely entertaining, or ideally both.
Yes. Yeah. So anyway, the thing I wanted to bring up though is like, and this could already exist, I'm sure in varying capacities, but it would be streaming arguments.
Streaming arguments. Like just have like, do you mean like having like a debate on like a Twitch channel dedicated to debate?
Kind of. Like I know that they have like Twitch things where it's like just chatting. And like I feel like I think sometimes there's this layer of the internet that I'm sure every single person listening right now is distinctly aware of, which is that you always have a lot more safety behind your keyboard than you do when you have to look the person in the face,
right,
and have the conversation with them,
right.
And so sometimes it's almost like I have wondered before whether or not like I would ever like go on stream and sort of just like allow people to come on. And it's like, if you have something to say, like now is the time to say it. Like I will bring you on, caller.
Right.
You know, and it's like almost like having like the Zoom window available. And it's like, okay, if there's an issue, let's talk about the issue. Let's work through it. Like let's find resolution.
Are you talking about like if they have problems with you?
Potentially if they have problems with me,
right,
or something on like something that I would be able to answer. Like I'm not an expert on everything.
Right.
And on some level it's sort of like as an individual, I just have my own limitations. And so it's like at some point I might just not know.
Right.
You know, or I might not care. Or I might agree with you.
Right.
You know, and it's like there's a million different ways that could particularly shake out. But my big thing is that like I think that, you know, I've talked so much about like this situation with being a people pleaser, but I do think that like through, you know, therapy and introspection and conversations with friends and like working through a myriad of different things, I do think I've become like emboldened to the point where like I am willing to have difficult conversations with people to the point where at times I almost welcome it. Mm-hmm. Like, because to me, the objective of an argument is to sort through differences. It's not like, there's yelling matches and then there's like discussions. And I guess wherever the argument lands somewhere in between those two situations,
right,
is probably wherein lies the rub.
Right. Like you don't want to have like verbal fights with people.
No, absolutely not. Like, not to the point where you're condescending the individuals on the other side for who they are as people or something like that. Like that's pettiness. That's unnecessary, and there's almost no place for it. Like, I don't know who wins from that under any circumstances ever. I don't know what the applicable scenario for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I think that, like, sometimes you might know that two people need to have like a difficult conversation about something that's important. And I feel like oftentimes the phrase that gets thrown around is, oh, to be a fly on the wall for that conversation.
Right.
And on some level, I think it's the central driving force behind reality TV is that, like, they typically take people, they put them in somewhat stressful situations. You know, take The Bachelor, for instance, where it's like, we're all like romantically interested in the same person and we live in the same house together. Let's see how that shakes out.
Right.
It's like that's not ordinary circumstances. Most people don't have to deal with the fact that the person that's sleeping next to them is also talking to the person that they're interested
right. They're
in.
not thrown into these pressure cooker situations.
Precisely.
Yeah, where they're deprived of all of their like phones and outward support, and all the people that you have to like lean on to lift you up are also the people who are there to take you down.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And then there's also very well-trained producers on staff whose goal it is to ask you as many probing questions from as many different angles as humanly possible to get just the right soundbite of you saying, she was mean to me.
Right. And all the producers are veteran Hall of Fame reality TV producers, and you're like a junior little league rookie.
Right.
Yeah.
But the end result is that you do get to be a fly on the wall for the conversation of, I can't believe you kissed him, or what are you doing stealing my time, and those types of things. And there's probably something that is very satisfying about it to you, the viewer at home, because you're sort of like it makes you feel like your problems aren't as bad, because you're like, oh, these people are like, look at them arguing over such silliness, such unimportant things. Like, and half the time it seems like what happens is they get out of the spotlight and then they go on to be like friends in real life, and it's sort of like, oh, see, like when we're not under like the hot lights, it's like you get to be like your standard self again, and your standard self is probably a lot more reasonable than reality TV you.
Exactly.
However, that being said, is that like this would be like the opportunity to go through and like have a discussion with somebody that could potentially shine light on problems that like other people feel as well.
Right.
And it's sort of like, okay, so now it's like you like have to look at me and have the discussion. Right. You have to talk to me, and you have to recognize the fact that I'm a fellow human being, and I have to recognize the fact that you're a fellow human being. Right. And, it's like we have standards for how to respect one another, but also sort of like, let's have a candid discussion. What happens if you like talk through something where there actually is other people looking on? Right. And I mean, it feels like it could be a recipe for disaster. It almost certainly is, because I suspect that there's a small handful of conversations that can go well. And then, as any hot button topic in any political environment could ever, indicate for you, is that sometimes there's not a right answer. And it's sort of like those issues just end up becoming the stakes in which people, the best you can do is plant your opinion.
I suppose the difference too is going to be that if you're having like I think you're right. Like when you have any time, like just like politically or something, if I'm like hanging out with someone who like, votes differently than me, it is never like really a problem in the course of like conversation and hanging out. And if any of those potential like issues or something come up, and you can like talk about them and like share why you feel a certain way, and they talk about why they feel a certain way, almost like I would say 99% of the time it's like, yep, we just sort of walked away and like understood each other better, and that's that. Yes. No one's like mad at anyone or anything. Which is like I would rarely say that someone like voting differently than me is like a reason to not be like friends with them. Yeah, for the most part, like,
I think that's a very healthy stance.
Yeah, I don't think your personality should be your I don't think your politics should be your personality. Yeah, and like the thing is, like, there might be people who feel like, no, like if you're, God, this is why I don't like talking about politics at all. But it's like,
so far you're doing great.
I know. So like the way I would feel is like, if the reason I wouldn't want to be friends with you is because your politics are your personality, not because of what they are.
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean?
Right,
like,
yes.
I wouldn't want to be friends with you if your politics were your personality
And
and
they
you
aligned.
agreed with everything I said.
Yes.
I would also not want to be friends with you.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, yes. I've seen it on both sides where it's sort of like it's like it's not like the stances that you're taking; it's the way in which you're delivering your stances.
It's the way you care about nothing else.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, let me be clear. I agree with you.
Yeah.
Everything you just said, I am on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
The way you said it, absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. No, I've absolutely been there. But I think for me is that, like, again, I'm trying to overcome a degree of this, like, personality trait, which is people pleasing. But I think that, like, and so I can't tell if this is me becoming more, like, I don't think confrontational is really the right word, but like willing to speak up over something. It's like, no. We need to back up. We need to talk about this, because I think repressing negative feelings, it's kind of like in like the movie Inside Out 2, which I love because it's such a great way to like use visual references as a way to communicate like mental dialogues. But there's like instances where Joy has created this like little spring-loaded launcher where she can take all the memories that she doesn't want Riley to have to worry about, toss them in there, pull the spring, and like it shoots them way into the back of her mind.
Yeah, it's just in the back of your mind, literally.
Yeah, it's literally in the back of your mind. So she's shooting it into like oblivion, but it's also like they don't go anywhere. You've just taken them away from front and center.
Right.
They're just still back there.
Right.
And I think that's like where rumination occurs. So I think even it's been since we've been recording the pop, I think I found the term rumination, which seems so silly now because when I discovered it, I was like, what a great word. This explains exactly what I do all the time. It's
right.
Like, I ruminate on things. I go home and I'm usually like headphones on and I'm working by myself. I have no distractions and my brain just will like replay the conversation in my head and be like, but then, and like, did their eyebrow twitch? And then I'm like, I think it did. Why did it twitch then? What were they saying? What does that mean? Oh, I think they disagreed with me, but I think they were pretending to agree with me. You know, like, and all of a sudden you're just like, your wheels are spinning and spinning and spinning. But the rumination is like one of those things where it's like, if I'm ruminating on something, then it's like, then I want to talk to the person about it. Like, because it's like that to me has become like the signal, like the little flag starts like going off, the light starts blinking. It's like, if you're ruminating, you need to talk,
right?
Because that's where it's like, this is no good. We can't handle, because if you're spending your weekend ruminating, then you're not spending it being creative,
right? You're
You're not spending it like chasing joy, or creative expression, or what am I trying to say here? Personal ambitions, all the things you care about.
Right.
You are distracted by the negativity.
Yes, for sure.
And I don't want to be distracted by the negativity.
Right. So you're just like willing to just like go confront those feelings.
Want to go confront those feelings. Yes, exactly. And one of the podcasts that you and I have talked about before is called Heavyweights.
Yeah.
And this is one like where, effectively like the host will work with the guest to go through and find an individual or a circumstance from their past and like effectively try to, through conversation, work to a point where they can like unravel the trauma, if you will.
Right. Like typically one person will have had a bad experience with another person and it has affected their life in this like ongoing snowballing type of way.
Yes.
And they have never talked to the other person about it or confronted them about it. And sometimes it'll have been like 20 years ago or something. Like I think one time someone had like just like written like a really bad name like on their garage door and like spray paint or something. And like they knew it was their like friend. And like after that, they just weren't friends anymore. And they eventually, call them and they're just like, yeah, I don't even remember doing it,
Oh, right. Yes,
yeah. And it's like they don't even remember doing it. And it like wrecked your whole life,
Yes.
in a way.
Well, and, and it's funny too, because like, I think like that's where you can be negatively impacted by an individual, but like, the impact of that individual might be something that like is a byproduct of things that they are going through themselves. So like, I had like a friend in my orbit who I won't name, or anything in high school, but we'll call him Jimmy.
Okay.
And Jimmy was like my hot and cold friend, where it was kind of like this person who like I've would sleep over at their house all the time. Lots of shared interests and activities and things were all good, but it would almost be the case where it would be like me and Jimmy would be like friends in 9th grade and then not at all in 10th grade and then friends again in 11th grade and then not at all in 12th grade.
Right.
And it was, from my perspective, I would say that this behavior was usually being dictated by Jimmy and not by me. And most of the time when he got cold on me, I was like, what happened?
Right.
And a lot of times it almost felt like it was coming as like did I do something? Do I annoy you? Do you not want to be like seen in public with me? Like, your mind goes to like really negative reasons for this. But I was talking to another friend from high school the other day and we were reminiscing about Jimmy.
Yeah.
And he was explaining to me that like one of the things that maybe I didn't know as well is that his parents were going through a divorce.
Right.
And part of the divorce, I think, was something that like, for whatever reason, I don't think he ever opened up to me about specifically.
Yeah.
But it seemed like my other friend knew that this was like a big thing. So then I'm sitting there being like, this is like, Jimmy's always someone who I was like, I would bring on to like one of these shows. He'd be like, what was going on?
Yeah.
Like, why were you like, what was our chemistry? Was I doing something that was upsetting you? Like, and missing it? Like, cause I mean, like, I think a lot about like the things that I do and say and like my actions, like, like I can't imagine I would have like died on a hill that meant that we weren't friends for a whole year.
Right.
Like that's not really like, that's not a huge aspect of my personality.
Right.
And so it was interesting because I was almost like, man, I wonder if like, that's just like the simple enough explanation. It's just like, this was like a kid who was a kid for one thing and just going through a difficult time. And, their emotions were probably ebbing and flowing.
Sure, probably. That's probably a huge portion of it and didn't really have anything to do with you.
Right.
But like you still caught the brunt of it.
Yeah. You still end up like feeling the ripple
You're out there
effect.
catching strays.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Precisely. So I don't know. Yeah. I've had these like thoughts go through my head before because there's, there can be instances like that where it's, I don't want to go so far as to say like a full blown trigger, but like sometimes certain things can like, kind of click in your brain and you'll go back to that moment and you'll feel the feels.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't want to feel these feels anymore. It's been like 15 years.
Right.
Like let's move away from the feels.
Yeah.
But how?
How
do you put them to rest?
You're so used to feeling that way.
Right.
Yeah.
And for me, especially because I feel like the stakes are so low, because I don't think that many people are going to stand by who they were as a high schooler and be like, no, I was right and you were being a jerk. Like,
right.
Like that doesn't feel likely to me.
Yeah.
So possibly my ambition to have conversations even with people like that is not as ambitious as it sounds.
Right.
Because I don't think that people are going to be like that determined to be like, to die on hills so long gone.
Right. So the real question is then, are you going to contact Jimmy?
See, that's the thing.
Right. That's the thing.
That's the thing. It's like, because see, here I am saying I think it'll go well.
Yeah.
And then it's like with Jimmy in particular, I'm like, it might not go well. It might not go well. I don't know. I'll think about it.
Yeah. I'll just be like, Ben, this is exactly what the problem is. Why are you always so dumb?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you have not changed at all.
No, changed at all. Okay, I get it. You know what? That would still pretty much close the door.
That would close the door. It would be like,
yeah.
It'd be like, okay, now I get it. We aren't meant to be friends.
Right. Yeah.
we are what is it, like oil and water? Like we just
you guys would just be like classic frenemies,
Right. Yeah. Just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, I think that's the big thing is that like to me, I think the point of an argument is harmony, as opposite as that sounds. Like
yeah.
I think so often. Sometimes I even had a situation with Addison over the weekend where she got really angry with me in the car and I had to drive back from like, I was like an hour away from home. So, we got in the car and she's just mad at me. And, sometimes that's just like the case with toddlers, they feel one thing and they feel it entirely. But I was like, I'm I'm not going to respond to her yelling at me. I'm just going to like sit here and like wait. And, like, like I don't want to engage. I don't want to like fuel the argument. I don't want to make her more upset or anything. So it was like, it was like anger. And then palpably shifted to sadness. And the second she shifted from I'm angry at you to I'm just sad, I was like, what you need?
Yeah.
Like, I am right here, Addie. I got you. Let's talk it through.
Right.
And I think that's like what happens with adult humans too, is that like, it's almost like let the person feel their feels, because I bet once they will have like exhausted those energy packets.
Probably.
And once they're gone, it's sort of like, okay, now we can talk.
Now
everything's going to be okay.
Get it all out of your system.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I will forget about everything you said while you were yelling at me.
Right. Yeah. That didn't count.
That didn't count. That was just the heat of the moment. Well, we've all been there.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have been there.
So anyway,
I do that a lot with kids.
That's the real question, is that like, yeah, streaming arguments on Twitch, is it a recipe for disaster or an opportunity for change?
It'd be very interesting to see, because like you're right. I bet if it was like a one-on-one conversation where it's literally just you and the other person, it would probably be like such a catalyst for change. And even if the conversation went well with the other person, I can imagine that there would be things you said that people watching were responding to and disagreeing with in a way that you couldn't respond to like right away. And that like those would be more the people I think that could have like the fallout or something.
Dude, this is like one of the, and you're exactly right. Cause I've thought about this a lot. Like we grew up and like our dad, was some measure of a like public figure. So I think it came with like kind of like its own unusual circumstances, at least in like our small town.
Yeah.
He was like a big celebrity for the small town that we lived in.
Yeah.
So, like, I think it gave kind of like unusual perspective as we now enter this world where like more and more and more people are famous amongst like niche groups, like it's so funny to me. Like, over the weekend I was chatting with my nephew, Andrew, and he's watching this YouTuber who has like 27 million subscribers. And I had never heard of him.
Right.
And it's like 27 million subscribers.
Crazy.
And I have never heard the name before in my life. Couldn't even tell you what it is right now.
And I was talking to someone over the weekend. They're like, "Oh, what are you up to?" And I was like, "Well, we saw, we had a fun week. We went and saw the Cursed Child on up in DC last week." And they're like, "What's that?" And I was like, "It was like the Harry Potter Broadway play." They're like, "I didn't even know that existed." And you're like.
Right.
It is so crazy to me that we are in the same season of life and have so many things in common, and you've never even read Harry Potter,
Right, right. No, it's so true. It's so true.
Yeah.
But yeah, these small little like corners of fame, and like the thing that the internet basically provides opportunity for, which is creating lots and lots and lots of communities that are more tailor fit to every individual, which is an awesome thing. However, you see public apologies often, and like a lot of times like somebody will do a thing and then they'll post like a screenshot from like their notes app, and it's sort of like them pouring their heart out and apologizing. And it's like not that I necessarily know, I'm not an expert in the field, but half the time I feel like if I was ever like a public relations expert, or like if somebody hired me to help, I'm like, I almost feel like what my recommendation would be is like, don't like, it's so hard to write that apology letter, because half the time people will break apart the apology,
right?
And they'll be like, then they'll go to like specific lines, or God forbid you make a typo, because then of course that'll end up taking the whole context of everything. But it's so dicey, because you're exactly right. Like there's probably 90% of people who will go through and they'll see the Instagram post, and they'll see the public apology screenshot from the notes app or whatever. They'll read it and they'll be like, "Oh, okay, well at least they owned up to it. No big deal." But then there's the commenters, and those would be like the people in the chat.
Yeah.
I feel like, where it's like, those are going to be the people who are going to be like, but like he specified apologizing for this, but he didn't clarify that he also was apologizing for this part. And I think that part was actually the real problem. So they're only apologizing for like half of it, but not all of it. Mm-hmm. And it's sort of like, do you actually think they're only apologizing for half of it? Or do you think it's possible that you're like taking a scalpel to their letters,
right,
and taking them apart one by one,
right.
you know.
Yeah, this is gonna seem like a weird place to get a bunch of apologies, but like when I was more like really really tuned into the like Pokemon trading card game like competitive circuit.
Oh,
like,
sure, yeah.
Like where I would indeed be like watching Twitch, and I'd be like watching the regional tournaments and stuff like that, and you know I was listening to podcasts and stuff. But like inevitably at any given tournament there would be some sort of like high profile player who would make like do like a misplay or get like called out for, you know, cheating in one way or another, or like, did it get treated fairly? Did it not get treated fairly? Did they like say something like insulting in the heat of the moment or whatever? And it would all just be like immediately like blown up, you know?
Sure.
Like, and it's like for what feels like kind of a tiny thing,
right?
You know?
Sure.
It's like you like don't go cheat or whatever. That's so stupid. But then, you know, they'd get disqualified from the tournament or something. And then sure enough, yeah, you'd go on there and there'd be just this like block of text from their notes app, and it'd be like apologizing and how they've let down the people in their community and so many people support them, and, you know, sorry or whatever. And it was just like, I would always read those and I'd be like, well, I guess it's good that you did this, but it's like, do you like you're right. What would happen is then the people would then start like attacking the note itself, and you're like you might be making it a bigger deal than it was. Like, you know, like I was someone who was clued in pretty intently on all that stuff for a while. I'm like, I wouldn't recognize you on the street, you know, at all.
Oh, sure.
You know, it's like, I mean, what's going to happen? Like, what are you afraid you're going to do the next tournament and everyone's just going to like scream at you or something? You know, like maybe, but like, I doubt it. Most people are just there to play their cards and go on. But like, it's easy to feel like, oh my gosh, the spotlight's on me. I'm like everyone in the entire community only cares about me at this moment. It's a huge, terrible, like, this is the worst. And it's like, if you know what, by next week, no one's even going to, whatever, you know,
right?
No one's even gonna care.
Yes. Yeah. You know what's a funny example is I feel like there was this thing that just happened at a Coldplay concert.
Oh my gosh, we should talk about this thing has been going so viral.
It's so viral.
I see it everywhere.
This is a classic. We're about to do the thing though, where it's like we're about to be like, well, if you had just done this, everything would have been fine. However, in case you were somehow unfamiliar with the Coldplay concert situation, essentially what happened was there was a Coldplay concert and they were doing the kiss cam, and the kiss cam showed up on these two people and they immediately both hid and turned away.
Right.
And the reason that they both hid and turned away is that they were, as far as I know, both otherwise married to other people.
Yeah.
And the gentleman was like the CEO of a company, and I think the woman that he was with is like a member of his staff.
Yeah,
possibly.
she was like the head of HR or something.
Which is again like one of those it's like why does it have to be HR?
Right.
It's like
you're the person in charge of making sure this doesn't happen.
Right. Like the inter-office romance person that like has to
you're right.
enforce these things is the person involved, which is always like, as soon as I heard it was the HR person, I was like, that can't be accurate. Like,
yeah.
Surely they're not the HR person. So anyway, but that's the big thing.
But it's not just that. It's that, God, who is the lead singer of Coldplay?
Don't know.
Okay, it doesn't matter. Well, he's watching the kiss cam happen, and he watches them like dive away from each other, and he's like, "Oh man, they must be having an affair, or they're really shy." And it was like, then sure enough, because he's this like tech billionaire, people were able to recognize him immediately, and within like minutes, like his wife's Facebook profile was like flooded with like pictures of it and messages, and like word got out so fast,
right?
Like it just spread like wildfire, and it's just been such a huge meme. I don't know if you're aware. There's actually like a there in the show Modern Family, there is a kiss cam plot line very similar to this.
Isn't it?
And
Okay. Yeah.
Where Phil, the dad, I think he's taken his son Luke to a basketball game with his cousin Manny and Manny's mom Gloria.
Okay.
And so like, you know, Gloria is like a trophy wife in the show basically, and she's played by oh my god, Gloria, no, that's her name in the show.
That's oh my god.
It doesn't matter. I feel so stupid.
I know.
Everyone, not God, this is such a bad story.
People are screaming at it because they're like, how do you not know this person's name? And I know it too. Oh my gosh. There we go. Hang on, we're almost there. Sofia Vergara.
Sofia Vergara. Oh my gosh, there we go. Sofia Vergara plays Gloria, and she is married to like the grandpa in the show.
Jay,
great name.
Yeah. Jay though.
Jay.
You can hear the difference.
Yeah. But so they're at the basketball game together, and the kiss cam lands on them, and Phil, who's like kind of like always trying to impress Gloria anyway.
Yeah.
Like is like, oh no, what do we do? And everyone around them's like, kiss, because they think they're a couple because they're there together. And Gloria's just like, oh my God, it's not that big a deal. And she just kisses him and then they move on or whatever.
Right.
And then Phil's freaking out the rest of the episode because he's like, oh my gosh, my wife Claire is going to find out about this. This isn't going to be good. And he has this like, it's like one of those shows where they like, it's like documentary style. They'll talk to the camera and stuff. And he's like, what people do in the privacy of their own sports arena should be their own business. It's just like, it is such a perfect like application for this meme.
It really is. Oh my gosh. And it's been madness, the fallout. Like I think that the spouse of the man has already like changed, her
she changed like her last name on Facebook. Like
and she changed to single instead of married. And I think that he is now
he resigned.
Since stepped down from the company, so it's like it ended up, I mean, for something that is like, how many sporting events happen in the United States every day?
You guys hear that rain?
I hear it.
Yeah.
It's like big droplets.
It feels like big fat rain.
Yeah, as Forrest Gump would say.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it felt like it was coming up from underneath.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I shouldn't try to do a Forrest Gump line. Anyway, let's see here. Where was I with my? Oh yeah, okay. So think about in America, like how many sporting events between Major League, all the different, NFL, NHL, NBA, all those types of things, all the minor league variants of them, all the, like whatever. Kiss cams happen at lots of different events. It's a great way to get the audience excited. It's a fun thing if you get on there like with your significant other, because you get to be on the Jumbotron, you get 10 seconds of fame or whatever. How many of them do you see like played back daily? Like certainly plenty of these have like gone askew before, and I'm sure that this isn't the first time that two people who weren't supposed to be together have been caught together on a kiss cam.
Right.
But it's like in some ways what they tried to do was hide, and the fact that they hid made it remarkable.
Right.
And so then once you've put yourself inside of that position, then people want to ask questions.
Right.
But like otherwise, any other kiss cam is just a completely non-remarkable thing.
You're just like, yep, those were those people.
Those were those people.
Yep.
On to the next.
Yeah. Now, it's possible that because he's like a billionaire, he would have been recognizable enough no matter what.
I mean, there is that. Like, it's hard to know like where you might be then,
Yeah.
But at that rate, just, I mean, and again, the other bigger thing is just don't cheat on your spouse.
Yeah. You know what? That's the thing is like when that, like at the end of the day, do you think that guy is like, man, I hate Coldplay? Or is he like, it's their fault? Or it's like, it's your fault, dude.
Yeah, well,
like it's your fault.
No, it is. Yes, yeah. It's like this was not a Coldplay problem.
Yeah,
it wouldn't matter where you were. Like,
yeah,
the same problem would have existed. But I have no idea if he gave up on Coldplay, because at least the rumor has it his like apology note, he ended it with a line from a Coldplay song.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
So he is a good PR person. It sounds like just not a very good HR person.
Or maybe too good of an HR person.
Yeah, maybe too good. Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, pure silliness. But
that is
anyway, that's the thing, is that like it's like you act casual, be cool,
man.
Yeah. They didn't be cool.
They didn't be cool. No, they could have. They might have been able to get away with it, but they didn't.
Okay, so speaking of billionaires and recognizable people, here's an interesting question for you. Like not a celebrity, do you have a role model?
Do I have a role model?
Do you like? Is there
like just like a person I know in life?
Like, is there anybody who you know who is like at least a stage or two ahead of you in life, who you look to and you're sort of like, that's who I want to be like. That's what I'm aspiring to.
Right. I mean, I guess for the longest time, I probably just would have said like dad.
Yeah. Well, yes.
You know, because that's like kind of what I was sort of doing in college, was like that, like the reporting track, I suppose.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, and then to be fair, like, you have still ended up doing a measure of what dad does.
That's true. Sure. Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else that I'm like, yeah, I really like, I admire the way they're doing everything, and conducting themselves.
Well, and the reason I asked is because like I think role models are a really good thing.
Yeah.
You know, like in general. And I on the same exact token, like a lot of reason why famous people end up making these apology notes is because on some level their fame has probably been accumulated because people look up to them in some capacity. And so then a lot of times, especially to like young and impressionable kids, you are a role model figure. And so part of the apology is sort of like, we need to make sure that like these kids know that like you're taking ownership over your actions and that like, you know, it's okay to make mistakes, but when you make a mistake, you need to, you need to apologize for whatever, you know, the thing you may do. And the hope is that it can like kind of like wipe the slate clean.
Yeah.
And so like on a lot of, on like with that idea in mind, it clearly suggests to me that we as a society hold role models at a pretty high standard.
Right.
Like we want people to be setting a good example for other people.
Right.
And who more important to set a good example than people who have notoriety. But like it's difficult. I mean, and parents, I think I'm trying to decide whether or not I think you would exclude your parents, because I do think no matter what, like, I mean, I model a lot of like my parenting after our parents, you know, like, and you.
Right. I mean, it's hard not to, because
yeah,
you know, that's what you grew up with, obviously.
Exactly. Yeah. You have a good working example. And like, I know that there are certain things like, you know, that dad has done where it's like dad ran like the Boston Marathon, like, you know, what I think like in his mid 40s or something. And like, so in my mind, a lot of times I'm sort of like, okay, I've gotten to like, I'm like 45, 46, like, you know, like to check that box. Like,
right.
Know, like, it's like, I know I really want to. And it's like, why do you want to? And it's like, well, because dad did it. And I want to do what dad did.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
You know?
Like, do you want to do it, Ben?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So I don't know. It was just a curious thing. Cause I was kind of like, I wonder, it feels harder and harder to find is like that person in your life. It's almost like a third place, you know, but like in human form. Like,
right.
The third place is usually going to be like, you've got like your home and then you've got your work. And then the third place is usually like the other arena where you go to find community that isn't the other two.
Right.
And so a lot of people, I think funnily enough, bowling alleys, I think are like a really big example of this.
Oh, a big third place. Yeah.
Historically have been, because it can be like a very communal type of thing. Churches oftentimes can be this type of thing. Mm-hmm. Salons, I believe, for lots of people.
I can imagine that. Yeah.
Yep, it's a place you go, you know all the people, you kind of have like your dishing and stuff. Theoretically, potentially like a book club or something if you have like a really good one. But you know, it's sort of like a place that you go to like to help fill something in your life, because home life has a certain set of responsibilities and behaviors and actions and values and everything. Work, same way. And then like the third place is kind of like where you get to go and like be you.
Right.
And so like, I think in a lot of ways, like I'm trying to decide whether or not I think like parents are almost like your like home, you know, like as far as like places are concerned.
Right.
Like there's a certain, you know, trajectory, like it's easy to like follow the path, you know, especially if you've got one that you admire or don't admire for that matter, because one way or another, you're probably doing what you're doing on some basis because of what you experienced.
Right.
Either you liked it and you want to do the same thing, or you didn't like it and you want to do something different.
Right.
And so it's possible that like when it comes to a third place, like let's say Tiger Woods or something, you know, or Scotty Scheffler.
Yeah.
Is the guy who just won over the weekend. Let's say you play golf and, you know, then that becomes like your role model. Like maybe the golf course is your third place and therefore it makes sense for a famous golfer to be your role model.
Right.
You know, because like that's where you're kind of getting some of that from. I'm talking myself in circles and I don't know where I'm going. What do you think?
Well, I don't know, because like you said, like to answer your question, I don't have like an older person in my life who I communicate with regularly, who I am like whose life I'm trying to emulate in my own.
Okay.
But like, I mean, which is not to say that I don't like draw like inspiration from like other people that I know. That I feel like, you know, I like the way you did that, or I would like to, you know, borrow that, or, you know, stuff like that. Like, and those are, you know, a lot of times just, you know, my like friends sometimes.
Yeah.
Who I think are just doing a good job either at, you know, parenting or relaxing or, pursuing their passions or whatever it is.
Right. Like you can kind of see people like, you can almost like go a la carte, if you will, where it's like, it's like you're really good at chasing your like fitness goals. And that's something I admire. And it's like, you don't necessarily have to admire like all aspects, and you may, but you don't have to. You can just be like, this is like a really good way for me to sort of like model my own physical endeavor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, certainly there's like other like, influencers and stuff that I like, I like the way they do things, or I like their sense of humor, or I like their, approach or whatever. But I don't like either, communicate with them very often or anything. They might just, that kind of falls more into like, feels like into the celebrity side of things a little bit.
Yeah, a little more like parasocial. If
it could be. I mean, some people we know a bunch of creators and stuff.
Sure, true.
From the different events we've been to and stuff. But like, I'll see other people, and like I like watching other people who are like in the same sphere as us sometimes, because it like makes me feel like, like sometimes I'll get all in my head about whether or not I feel comfortable like doing a certain kind of content. Then I'll just see them doing stuff, and I'm like, why am I so in my head? It's like, just like give yourself permission kind of things,
Right.
Yeah.
And that's probably that type of thing where it's like, it's like, I'm sure there are people who have helped you along the way who have no idea that like the simple act of just doing what they're doing was helping you.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's handy. That's like a really good one. But yeah, so I don't know. It's like, I mean, and I know that like a lot of people do find these kinds of things in different arenas in their life. Like going to church can teach you certain morals and ethics, or like when we were kids, we were like Boy Scouts, and I feel like they definitely taught us like to do the right thing, or be prepared. Like those types of things. But sometimes, like I think it's interesting where it's like I don't know if it's like a kind of aspect of life that I almost feel like would be like kind of neat, would be like if we almost took on like apprentices at different stages of our life, like if mentorship was more of a thing, even if it wasn't directly career driven.
I mean for sure, like when I worked at the concert venue for your bingo cards, at one point there was like a corporate like initiative, I suppose, where they were developing like a mentor-mentee program.
Okay.
Where they like, had a bunch of people apply, and then, based on where you were in your career, this like half the people were the mentors, and they would like pair them up with like a mentee or whatever, and you're supposed to have like a bi-weekly call with them to check in and be like, here's what I'm working on, what could I be doing better and stuff. And I remember like, then it's one of those things where it's like, well, they say they're doing it if you're interested, but then if you're not interested in being a part of their program, then they're probably not interested in promoting you, kind of situation there. So I was like, I guess I'll do it. But I remember I got paired up with this girl named Alicia. She was my mentor, and like for like 3 weeks, it was like, it kind of was great, where it was like, okay, I have someone who can just kind of like tell me stuff. But then she like left the company to go back to grad school, and that was sort of it. And I was like, everyone else had these great positive experiences, and I was like, well, I tried.
I was doing it.
So I do think like having like like a mentor, especially like in your field, is probably extremely helpful, because they can like help guide your path. Especially like it's so hard in like our particular field, because there's, we've been doing YouTube basically almost since the beginning,
True.
Of the site. So there's not that many people who are, there's not that many people who've been doing it longer than us.
Right.
Who have, who are still doing it. There's, people who started before us, but maybe they're not still on the site or on the platform anymore. And then, we've met a bunch of people, like we've met like the Vlog Brothers. Obviously those were huge inspirations to us and stuff. Early on, and
I would say
but it's not like I communicate with John or Hank all the time. They're not like mentoring me through anything.
No. Yeah, that's totally fair. But they're a great example too, because I do feel like a lot of times, like they're almost somebody I would look to be like, where do they land on this? That would help me. What do you think?
Yeah, right. And it's like I love so often when we get to meet other creators at like the events we get to go to. It's like it's so great just to like hear like how they go about doing stuff and how they have built their business, because the all in all, the entire industry is still very young. Like no one's had a full career as a content creator yet. You know, which is not to say that people maybe haven't like earned enough money to retire or something, but I don't think anyone's had like what you might consider a traditional, like I worked for 40 years kind of thing.
Well,
career path.
Right. And that's, it's the really bizarre aspect of this field in particular as well, because it's like, you know, your vertical is basically like in terms, like lots of people our age would have cycled through potentially, you know, 1, 2, 3 different careers in the time we've been doing this.
Right.
And at the present, my main goal would be to keep doing this.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, so it's interesting because even that is sort of like it can be regarded as like a bygone era. Like not everybody goes and works the same career for, you know, their adult lives.
Right.
Lots of people kind of like hop around to the change, or, you know, they can change companies and sort of like, you know, move up a ladder through a variety of different like strategies and stuff. And that infrastructure is there, which is great. You know, for the people who take that path. And then we have like maybe like a degree of like freedom. But it's very interesting. I think, our dad, one day I was talking to him about it because he had either read a story or an article or was spitballing. I can't remember exactly what it was, but he was saying how like, you know, there's like the zoo and the jungle, and, you know, the zoo is sort of like, you know, if you like work for a company, it's like you are in a safe environment that was built for habitation. You're fed, you know, your 3 square meals a day.
Yep.
You don't have any predators out there, you know, hunting you or potentially trying to harm you, but you're confined to, you know, a 100-meter ring, you know, and it's sort of like you get a lot of pluses there. There's a little bit more safety. You have a lot of guarantees. However, you're limited.
Right.
You know, in terms of like how far you could spread out if you so desired.
Right.
And then on the flip side, you know, the jungle comes with more freedom and flexibility, and you get to do things at your own schedule, but there are natural predators, and the jungle can be dangerous.
Right.
And
a lot more risks.
Yeah. So it's like, I think, you know, just to use them as extremely rough examples for what career paths can kind of look like, and, you know, apply it in any which shape, you know, fits best for you. But like, I thought that was like a very interesting sentiment, because if you've lived in a zoo your whole life, you might think like, gosh, there'd be nothing better than the jungle. But then if you've lived in the jungle your whole life, you're like, man, it'd be nice just to have the zoo.
Right. It probably is. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think there's a degree of grass is always greener, and you just got to make the best of your circumstances. Or maybe if you're out there living in the jungle, see if you can't, you know, like thread together a few pieces of like bamboo or something and build yourself like your own little enclosure.
There you go.
And then it's kind of like you're like, you know, your own personal zoo inside of the jungle.
There you go. Yeah. You got to build your own safety.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Well, you need the safety no matter what, right? At some point.
That's true.
Right.
That's true. Yeah. So anyway, who are your role models? Who do you guys look for?
Do you have a role model?
I don't know. I think that, like, you know, I when I was watching the Outdoor Boys YouTube channel, I was like, I think that I was just watching it for pure interest. It was like scratching an itch. It's, you know, being outside, camping, you know, like some of the survival-y type of skills and stuff like that. I think are things that I just have like a natural draw towards. I've watched that kind of stuff in the past before.
Yeah.
I've never zeroed in on an individual so much before, which the host of the show is Luke. And that was interesting because, like, at some point in time I was like, am I like appreciating this person's way of life in such a way that's actually like impacting and changing my own? And on some level I would be like, I think it might be.
Yeah.
I think I'm planning like trips differently. I'm spending time with my family differently. I'm engaging with my own interests differently. Like,
right.
I think I'm even thinking about like content creation, because in some way, even though the kind of content we make could not be more different, like I'm also a content person. Like that's what I do for work too.
Right.
And so it's like, you know, trying to imagine the way that he was finding ways to make sure that he was still having fun doing what he was doing, because from my perspective, what he's doing is really fun. But I also know that for him, it's work.
Right.
Like he has, like that's his job, like going out and doing these adventures and whatever. So it's like on some level, like, you know, it's like, I feel like because I could see it through so many different like angles, I was able to like super appreciate it. And then even the big story, in case you've, you know, missed it, is that since he got to like 16 million subscribers and has just stepped down.
Yeah.
He's just not
just
doing
left.
it anymore. Even that, you know, I think it was like one of those things where it's like you can watch it and there's a huge amount of admiration because I know how hard it can be to succeed at all in this environment. And then to find success in such a huge way and then being willing enough to let it go.
Right.
You know, I think it's like all of that. I was just like, you know, it's odd. You don't see that very often.
Right.
You don't see people like on an upward trajectory choose to stop.
Right. Yeah. To choose like a simpler, like more private life. You don't see people like not choose like the fame fortune option when it's available to them.
Right. Right. And it's possible that like, you know, anybody out there could be like, lots of actors do that. Like, you know, they take like 5 years off and it's like, maybe it's just harder to notice because like, let's say you've got Keanu Reeves or something, you know, who I think is kind of notoriously like good at like keeping his life private and not, you know, like being a famous person all the time, like the way that some people are famous people.
Right.
Like it's possible that he's like, yeah, I took 5 years off so that I could just like enjoy myself and the hard work that I've earned and time with family and stuff like that. But you don't see it that way.
Right. You know, like, yeah, I know what you mean. Like big Hollywood actors like that. Like if he just wasn't in a movie for 5 years, I wouldn't be like, where's Keanu?
Right.
You know?
And then when he
What's
came
he
back,
doing?
you'd be like, God, this guy never misses.
Right. Exactly.
He's so good.
He's so good all the time.
Right. So it's like structurally different. But it also, I mean, it reminds me of like, you know, the phrase from The Dark Knight where it's like you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become a villain.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it's like one of those sentiments where it's like I hate that I've ever heard it because it's like sometimes it makes me worry that like I'm on a one-way path to becoming a villain.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like it doesn't matter what. It's like you will get there.
No, I mean, like, this is one of those things. It's like, that's a very fun thing to say, but like, just because they said it in a Batman movie doesn't mean it's true.
Well, exactly.
You know,
exactly.
right?
Yes. Yeah.
Just because it was very poignant in that movie and is an extremely memorable quote. It's like because you want to bring it up anytime a famous person then like becomes a villain or something.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, that's what it makes you feel like. But there's plenty of people out there who were there. They just led a fun, happy career and then that was it, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They entertained you. Cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. So I think that's a big part of it, you know, as well. It's just like I suppose like that phrase can either be true or you know, in the case of the, you know, the Outdoor Boys type of situation, he walked away.
Right.
You know, and it's like, well, it doesn't even feel like that was supposed to be an option. And I think that's what makes that line so poignant is that like most people don't think of hanging it up as a scenario.
Right.
You know, it's like if you're this good at something, then you keep going.
Right.
You know, but I don't know. So yeah, I think that that's somebody who at first I think it was just like, this makes me want to go camping.
Right.
I want to learn that new skill.
Yeah.
Maybe I want to get that tool he used. These are cool things.
Right.
You know, and then I think that like the further I got, the more I was starting to like think about like him as like a person, as like a father, as a husband, you know, like
yeah,
a community member, as a role model potentially, like, you know, all the different like ways in which this person like is more than just simply somebody who goes camping in the wilderness with his GoPros.
Right.
You know, it's like at some point in time, maybe it stopped being that and started being something else. And it's not something I've experienced a lot of times.
Right.
So
yeah.
So that was pretty cool. So, I mean, I know that it breaks my own rule of like, don't pick a celebrity.
Right. Yeah.
Cause I guess he is. But there are certain pieces of it where there are crossovers because he's doing a career that I am also in a way doing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So.
Well, I know. I think it's just like, it feels like, you know, role models. It's like just speaking off the top of my mind, it feels like it's like a harder thing maybe to wrap your head around these days in terms of like looking up to like other successful people in your field. Sometimes like just I feel like there's so much like like, I don't know, like anti like capitalist kind of sentiment out there a lot of times that makes it feel like looking up to someone because they've been successful in earning lots of money or something is like, no, well, that would be a weird reason to look up to somebody or something. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. Yeah. Where it's like, do you look up to them, or do you just also want the life with the Lamborghini and the big house and the pool and like
maybe that's like a bad example because like maybe a good role model is not like about like success in, you know, work. It's more about like, you know, integrity in life.
Right. And probably that's what I'm looking for in a lot of ways is not necessarily somebody who can help me be better at my career so much as somebody who can help me be a better person.
Right.
And to bring it full circle, like I think on some level, like this is like the streaming arguments on Twitch. Like, you know, I think that I am somebody who is on a quest to better myself and like find where my weaknesses are as like an individual and see if I can't grow to be stronger as an individual by having had these things, like by having had like light shed on them.
Right.
You know, so it's like you don't want to open yourself up to just like sheer criticism because like I think you can easily, you know, be crushed by the weight of that. But it's like, you know, by having people in my life who are close to me being like willing to like speak to me in a way that would be like, that could help me grow. It's like, I want to grow. I want to get better. Like I like, you know, and it's not like, that's not like even being like, it's not like negative self-talk. It's like, I think that it's like something that like drives me.
Right.
Is like, how can I continuously like improve who I am as an individual?
Right.
Like and so far in life, like that's not really, I think for so long I was just fighting to just even be content at all with who I was as a person.
Right.
You know, so now I think it is a sign of growth and it's like maturity and yeah, hopefully, you know, me getting healthier in terms of like my own mental state that like that's something I'm like open to is like, how can I improve?
Right.
You know, cause I want to.
Yeah.
If I can.
That's good. It says here that you've been breaking stuff as fast as you can fix it and that you needed help changing a light bulb. So,
well, yeah, there's that. So Jay is reading off of my show notes.
Yeah.
Do you want me to expand on those things?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go for it.
So, I would say that there's an interesting stage of homeownership that I feel like I have entered where it's like I have been at my home long enough where there were certain things that when I arrived were just old, and so I have since replaced them. And now I feel like I am at a point where things that I have since replaced that like have been new since me are breaking.
I see.
And, you know, so it's like at one point in time, I got the wide open road up ahead, which was almost sort of like I had this old rickety thing from like the 1970s. It was terrible. It was broken. It needed to be replaced 15 years ago, whatever. Mm-hmm. I have a shiny brand new one. Now it works great. Nothing to worry about. And it's like, I think I'm like reaching certain stages where it's like, well, now it's breaking.
Now it's breaking again.
Now I've had it long enough to where it's like I have exited the replace the whole thing and now fix componentry situation of it. And I think that this is kind of like happening like a lot of different directions. So like on a similar note, like in my truck, like I think I've talked a little bit lately how I've been having like I've been getting a lot of joy from like working and tinkering on my truck, just doing like these like small little like upgrade type things. You know, nothing that I'm doing is like really, really that crazy or massive, but like it gives me a reason to go out there and play with something and make it like a little bit better. However, like I feel like I'm in the process of either doing some of the modifications or even just like the wear and tear on the vehicle. It's like, because I'm spending such more intimate time with it, I'm noticing other stuff that just is broken. And so it's like, now I'm not making an upgrade. I'm literally replacing something that should work in the first place.
Right.
You know, and I've talked about once upon a time, taking my car to have it detailed per a gift from Alice. Whoever did it just went inside and like just messed up
Just broke everything.
a lot of things. So, part of that is like going through and like looking at these like exploded diagrams of, the inner workings of a Toyota Tundra car door and trying to figure out like which piece in the diagram is the, window switch bezel, because the guy took a chisel and basically knocked all my window switches into my doors. And, so then like I'll track down.
A terrible job this guy did.
It's so bad. I mean, it's so bad. And, so like, I'm going through and like you find like a new window switch. Then you go through and you take the whole thing apart and you go to fit the window switch in there, only to discover it wasn't just the window switch that was broken. It was also the piece of plastic that holds it.
Right.
And then I've like ordered new ones of those, only to discover that like they come in 2 different sizes, and I bought the one for the double cab instead of the crew cab, and so now this one doesn't fit. And it's just like,
right. Yes. Those problems.
Those
I hate those problems.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then one of the other small upgrades that I've been working on is like my truck is old enough to where all of the light bulbs were incandescent bulbs. So they produce kind of like a yellowy amber color.
Yeah.
When they're on, and they're kind of dim, like they're really small light bulbs and they just don't produce a lot of light.
Yeah.
And one of the things that is readily available is LED like swap kits. So you can go through and take like the little map lights, over like your center console and replace those with like LEDs. Or if you do like the flip down visor thing, it's like you normally like, you get like your little mirror there.
Yeah.
You can put like LEDs in those. And it makes everything like a lot brighter. And then when you open your car at night, it's like nice and bright in there and you can see everything and it like looks
good.
Looks good.
Yeah.
So I'm going through and I'm like, popping off all the little like lens cap covers and everything so that I can like take the old light bulbs out, which is also difficult because they get blazing hot really quickly. So I learned this trick where you take like a piece of tape and you like wrap half a piece of tape around the bulb, and then you can like use that to sort of like jimmy it out of its little socket. But I'm going through and I replace one side with a brand new white LED bulb, pop back in there, and I'm like, whoa, that looks so good. I'm taking these like before and after pictures, so you can like see how much better it looks. And then I go to take the other one off, and I go to pop the bulb up in there, and the socket inside of the ceiling just gives way.
Yeah.
So like I'm sitting there literally changing a light bulb, and like I can't believe it, because I'm like, there is nothing difficult about this at all. I removed the old one, I tried to push the other one back in, and it pushed it all up into the ceiling. And now like it's to the point where it's like you're gonna have to take like the middle ceiling of my truck down
to change a light bulb,
to replace a part that I don't even know how to describe.
Right.
Like it's like a bent piece of copper that's like, got the conductive materials to wear the thing. I'm like, now I have to take it to the shop.
Right.
Like, because like, it's like, I'm okay with DIY stuff, but like I don't know how to fix that. I don't even know what it's called.
Right.
And
but then you're like, is it like the passenger side, like flap down mirror?
No, it's like you've got the flap downs, right? Like,
yeah.
Like in front of both cars, like the visor.
Yeah.
And then in the middle, there's like 2 lights you can usually reach up and like press with your finger.
Okay.
And so it's that, like it's
right,
the driver side version of that.
Right.
And it's so frustrating because it's like everything just worked before with the incandescent bulbs. It was just less bright.
Right.
And all I was trying to do was make it more bright.
Right.
And now it doesn't work at all.
Now it doesn't work at all. And now you're like, is it worth it? How often do I even use this?
I know. And so that's the thing though, because now it's like irreparable. Like now it won't work even if I put the old bulb back. Like nothing will work. And so now I'm just so like, I would regard myself as like reasonably handy.
Yeah.
But then I'm sitting there, I'm like, I just screwed up changing a light bulb.
Yeah.
Like what?
Well, not a regular light bulb.
You're right. Not a regular light bulb.
Not a regular light bulb.
But still, in the scheme of like car mods, I can't imagine any wrench turners out there being like, you messed up a bulb.
Yeah.
Like this is pretty basic.
Maybe they're like, that's actually kind of tricky. Yeah.
That would make me feel better.
Yeah.
That would make me feel better. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Cause I walked inside and Alice, she was doing bedtime with Addison on this particular night. So I was just out in the car doing it, and it was pouring rain, super hot, very humid. So I'm inside of the car, and because I'm working on it, the car's obviously not running. So the air conditioning's not running. So I'm just dripping sweat all the while that I'm doing this. I go inside drenched, and Alice is like, how'd it go? And I was like, well, I messed up. She's like, what? You messed up?
Yeah.
Like, how?
Impossible.
I know. Like, I don't know.
I hate tasks like that. This is reminding me of like at Christmas time when you go to plug in the lights and you're like, oh, hold on, there's missing some strands here. Let me go see if I can like change the fuse in the Christmas lights or whatever.
Yeah.
And because every box of Christmas lights I've ever opened ever has got a little green box somewhere on it, and it comes with a bunch of extra fuses.
Yeah.
And they're like, we know they're going to break, and this is how you change them. And there you go. We did it. We covered you. But if you ever actually go try and change the fuse, good luck. It's impossible.
It's so hard.
It is like, and you're like, I'm not being defeated by the Christmas lights, right? Like I've got it open. I took the one fuse out. I've got the other one in, and no matter like I don't know why the geometry doesn't geometry. Like it doesn't go in. It doesn't go in. And I mean, I would get so frustrated. It's like I would be fuming, just sitting there, just like. And then the thing is, you don't even know if this is the problem. You know?
Oh,
like,
sure.
Is this going to
yeah.
work? Like, I don't think anyone's ever successfully changed the fuse on their Christmas lights.
Like, I can't be certain, but I'm pretty sure no.
I'm pretty sure, like, even if I get it in there, then I'm like, even if I get it in there, it still might not work. This
Right.
might not be the problem. And like, I think, and then eventually I was just like, I'm missing an obvious step. There's a release somewhere. There's like something to make this easier that I'm not seeing. And I gave it to Beth, and she looked at it and she went through all the exact same emotions. She's like, I don't know.
But then the problem is like you go to the store and you try to buy like new ones, but then it's like, well, the new ones, they don't make them the same shade and color and brightness as the old ones.
Exactly.
And, yeah.
Exactly.
So then it's like I have like one bulb out of like 700, and now I have to replace all of them.
Right, because I can't change a fuse.
Yeah.
Right, and you're like, but I should be able to change a fuse because I'm an adult and this isn't that hard, and they give you the parts to do it, so clearly it's doable.
Yes.
But it's not.
It's not.
It's not. No one's done this correctly, as far as I can tell.
Hey, you know what?
What?
I think we're just doing our best.
We're doing our best, man.
We're doing our best. The people at home are like, guys, this is not that hard. Watch a video. But no, we're doing our best. Yeah. So anyway, let us know what are your pet peeves at home. Shoot us an email at popcornculturepod@gmail.com. Or if you'd like to support the show, you can do so at patreon.com/popcornculture. We've got the after the final pop every week, so you can go and check that out. Get a little more listening in. It'll be great. You don't look frustrated at all.
No.
Yeah. It's gonna be great. All right, guys. Until next time.
Pop pop.
Today's episode was edited by Isybelle Christley. Vaishon Brandon does our art. Catherine Stein is our production manager, and the show is hosted by me and Jonathan Carlin.